Hi poetry lovers, welcome to another segment of Poetry at Random at Bella Poetry Presents YouTube channel. Today I'll be talking about myself. I've talked to you about more than 50 different poets, describing their lives and reading their poetry, hopefully to your enjoyment. And today I decided to read to you some of my poetry and tell you something about myself in a short segment. My name is Bella Cohen, and I started the Bella Poetry Presents because I think it's important to remind people of the beautiful poetry that exists in our world, because a lot of people are not so much into poetry. So I hope if you listen to my segments, those who don't know poetry will learn and love it, and those who know poetry and who write themselves will be inspired by the beautiful poetry that I read on this channel. I also happen to be a poet. I wrote for many years only for children, poetry and picture books and so forth, but in the last few years I started to compile poetry for adults and write more than ever. And so in the last 5 years I published 4 poetry books. The first poetry book is called Love, Life and Other Dilemmas. All of them, by the way, are available at Amazon.com. The second book is called Soulful. The third book that I published in 2023, I think, is called Butterflies in Amber. And the fourth book is called The Trials of an Empath. This is my latest book that I published this year. And check all these books out. They're all available at Amazon.com. But before I start reading poetry from my books, I would like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in a city called Chisinau in Moldova, in the former Soviet Union, and I lived under the communism for 16 years. Later, my family in 1973 immigrated to Israel, and I lived there for 9 years. My husband, who was Israeli-American, brought me and my 2 children to Los Angeles, where I worked as a pre-K teacher for many, many years. I also taught enrichment classes, sociodrama, creative writing, and many, many other classes to young children. I staged performances, had a drama class, so it was very, very busy. Now my children are grown, I am retired, I live in Florida, and I have time to devote to my creative endeavors. So that's basically more or less my story. What poetry I like? I am a big fan of romantic poetry, although in the last series called Poetry at Random, I introduced you to just happen to be female poets, very talented women from different countries that tried mostly in free verse. I very much admire them and respect their work, and all of their work has a high literary value. But if you ask me what I prefer, I was raised on Russian poets, and Akhmatova, Pasternak, Tsvetaeva, and others. And I like more the rhyme poetry. For some reason, it talks to me more. And I like romantic poetry. So people write on different subjects. Some write about politics. Romantic poetry mostly focuses on love poetry and existentialism, death, and things like that. Different musings, a little philosophy. So that's what you'll find in my poetry. But there is a lot of love poetry that I think some of you will really enjoy. Today I will read to you, starting with my first book, Love, Life and Other Dilemmas, a poem. I chose one poem from each book. So from this book I will read to you a poem titled, How Do You Say Goodbye to Love? How do you say goodbye to love? Which is the proper way? A teary note, a wave of hand, a call, a text, please stay away? How do you tell someone you love that love that hurts is like a drug that kills you slowly, pill by pill? You feel you're dead, yet breathing still. Is there any other way but cut it off as with a knife and let your heart bleed out the pain until it heals, then back to life? I guess there is no easy way. So from the second book, which is titled Soulful, actually the cover is the photograph that I took and made it into a cover. And the poem that I'll read to you is called, it's kind of humorous, a little bit humorous poem, which is called Men Are Amazing Creatures. Men are amazing creatures. They love themselves as they are. They look in the mirror with pride. I look like a movie star, while women gaze with displeasure at their reflection each day. Look at these horrible wrinkles. I wish I could wipe them away. My nose is pretty crooked, much too big for my face. This huge belly and thighs, unquestionable disgrace. To strive for perfection is pointless because it doesn't exist. Love yourself as you are and dispose of the "what's wrong with me" list. So that's from the book Soulful. The next poem I will read to you from my book Butterflies in Amber. Actually, my daughter designed the cover, and this is actually one of my favorite poems that I've written, and the poem is called Like Blueberry Juice. I'll forget you one day, and your words of affection, sweet like honey from bees or blueberry juice. I'll forget our texts and deep conversations that formed our connection and inspired my muse. I'll forget all my tears, salty like oceans, shed because you weren't there with me. I'll forget you because this painful direction at the end will make me feel hopeful and free. I'll forget good and bad, and that's totally fine, because, my beloved, you have never been mine. And finally, I will read to you a poem from my new book that was published just this past year. It's called The Trials of an Empath. And maybe I'll read to you a couple of poems. One is called Continuing to Be. I lie in bed and look ahead. The clock is ticking by. The shadows on the ceiling look scary and sly. It's hard to fall asleep, no strength to weep. I sound a subtle sigh because I know that I should bid my youth the last goodbye. No longer young, not really old, but somewhere in between. I muse about the things I've done and places I have seen. What now? What does my future hold? Remains unknown to me, but I will have to move ahead, grateful to be free. This poem is titled Continuing to Be. That no matter at what stage in life you are, we always wonder, what's now? What is that it? Or some new adventures await me, and I can tell you there are plenty of new adventures awaiting everyone. You just have to have patience. And another poem that I'll read to you is called Enclosed in a Body. So I think a lot about life and life after death and reincarnation because I'm very spiritual. I'm an empath. I believe in these things. And so this is one of those poems. I am a soul enclosed in a body, for better and sometimes for worse. To grow as a soul, I have to endure numerous battles on earth. I have to feel pain, experience love and heart-crushing losses as well, resist temptations, ignore aggravations, stories my soul can tell. And when my body dies from an old age, or killed by disease or intent, my soul will depart to the worlds unknown with lessons it hopefully learned. So here are just a few poems that I've written that I hope you liked, and continue to listen to this channel, learning about other different poets and getting inspired by them, and writing. If you're a poet, continue to write. Don't give up. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And please don't forget to like and to subscribe. And again, all 4 books are available at Amazon.com. Poetry by Bella Cohen. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.